Hi, my name is Anthony McGowan, and this is my extra credit podcast for my art history class at Full Sail University. I'm going to be discussing the short life and works of Helmut Newton. Helmut Newton was born in 1920 to a wealthy Jewish family in Berlin. He was a delicate child prone to fainting spells. When he was 8, his brother began showing him the red light district of Berlin. By age 12, he had saved enough money to buy his first camera. At age 16, he made himself get thrown out of school so he could start a career in photography. His first job as a photographer's assistant lasted 2 years until 1938, when the Nazis stepped up their attacks on the Jews. Helmut fled to Singapore and took a job as a photojournalist. He moved again in the early 1940s, this time to Australia, where he joined the army until 1945. He opened his first studio then, and shortly thereafter met and married his wife, an actress named June Brown. He would take any job he could get, shooting weddings, baby photos, and mail-order catalog work. In 1952, he began working for Australian Vogue, which moved him to London in 1957. His association with Vogue would be a long and prosperous one that would last until 1983. During this time, he would also work for Elle, Marie Claire, Queen, Nova, Playboy, Stern, and both U.S. and Italian Vogue. In 1971, while on assignment in New York for Vogue, Helmut suffered a major heart attack that would transform his photography and his life. With encouragement from his wife, he began to pursue overtly sexual themes in his photos, drawing from his own life to instill a more menacing edge to his work. This edge brought him to the front of the fashion photography world and made him one of the most influential photographers of the time. He photographed women in such a way as to make them seem bolder and more aggressive, usually in some disquieting situation and in the style of a reporter or with a photojournalistic feel to the images. While the bulk of his models were depicted as members of the social elite, they would be caught in seedy environments, exploring kinky fantasies with prostitutes and cross-dressers. Then, alternating on that theme, showing members from the margins of society engaged in fetish-driven meetings with the social elite, surrounded by plush hotels and ancient midnight streets, all of them saturated with decadence, luxury, and privilege. While American publications would only publish distilled or politically correct versions of his work, European magazines never had a problem with this, even his most risque images. The term political correctness has always appalled me, reminding me of Orwell's thought-policed and fascist regimes. He commented on censorship in America. Helmut published his first book, White Women, in 1976, which featured the most radical selections from this period. The Eyes of Laura Mars was a Hollywood film inspired by the photos of Helmut Newton. Ironically, the photos he contributed to the film were not satisfactory. The director wanted scenes of blood and corpses, which were of no interest to Helmut. He defended his fashion photos as erotic rather than violent. Since 1976, he's received a number of awards, including, but not limited to, the Tokyo Art Directors Club Prize, the American Institute of Graphic Arts Awards, and Germany's Kodak Awards for photographic books. Life magazine gave him the Life Legend Award for Lifetime Achievement in Magazine Photography in 1999. Countless essays have attempted to deconstruct the elaborate and heavily coded world depicted in his photographs. His photos are tough, polished, aggressive, cold, and disconcerting. They reflect an internal world that generates a sense of unease. He achieves a delicate and difficult balance between flattery and caricature. There's a lot going on in his narrative photos. What I find interesting is working in a society with certain taboos, and fashion photography is about that kind of society, says Newton. To have taboos and then to get around them, that's interesting. The ironic thing is that he's made taboos more acceptable, at least to some segments of the population. Then, in a final fling, what Karl Lagerfeld poetically described as his last picture taken by himself, he crashed his Cadillac on Sunset Boulevard. On January 23, 2004, at age 83, Helmut Newton died.